International Women's Day is traditionally celebrated by community organizations across Waterloo Region via a range of activities that celebrate the women who have made and continue to make a difference in our region. For 2023, this year, the Women in Communication and Technology Waterloo Region, known as the WCTWR, is working in collaboration with Kitchener Rotary and organizations representing this vibrant community to present 3 youth events during the month of March in celebration of women in the Waterloo Region. The International Women's Day 2023 campaign theme is Embrace Equity. For International Women's Day and beyond, let's all fully embrace equity. Equity isn't just a nice to have, it is a must have. A focus on gender equity needs to be part of every society's DNA. We can all truly embrace equity. It's not just something we say, it's not just something we write about, it's something we need to think about, know, and embrace. It's what we believe in, unconditionally. Equity means creating an inclusive world. Collectively, we can all embrace equity. International Women's Day 2023 Waterloo Region's 3 youth events over the month of March include conversations, affirmations thanking our community through a series of video vignettes that highlight women and organizations who have chosen to embrace equity and have helped to create an inclusive world that empowers women and celebrates their achievement. Please note that we have disactivated the chat and that the Q&A is open for you to add your questions throughout tonight's panelist presentation, as we will be holding an audience Q&A at the end of the session to answer all your questions. I would like now to proceed with our land acknowledgement. Waterloo Region, including the 3 cities and 4 townships, is located on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. Waterloo Region is part of the Haldimand Tract, which encompasses 6 miles on either side of the Grand River from the mouth near Dundalk to where it empties into Lake Erie at Port Maitland. The use of this land was promised to the Haudenosaunee Confederation on October 25, 1784, to compensate them for the loss of their lands in upstate New York when they allied with the British, who were defeated in the American Revolutionary War. Today, Waterloo Region is home to Indigenous peoples from many distinct First Nations, as well as Métis and Inuit. I would like to say a special thank you to our youth committee members, the WCTWR Steering Committee, Kitchener Rotary, and all of our collaborating organizations. These events would not be possible without them. And a shout out and thank you to all of our wonderful sponsors. Each year, we choose an organization to support. And this past year, we lost an amazing young woman to suicide, Jacqueline McDermott. And this slide is in loving support of Jacqueline. The Women in Communication and Technology Waterloo Region chapter invite you to join us in remembering and honoring a bright light, an artistic soul, a friend to all, and a mentee from the 21-22 Mentee Circles program. Jackie McDermott. Jackie's the cherished daughter of our board colleague, mentor, and friend, Natalie Saint-Maurice. In her journal, she wrote, "I want to change the world or impact the lives of 100 million people in my lifetime in a peaceful way through art, peace, healing, literature." The universe isn't ready for Jackie's light to stop shining. In recognition of her light and to help spread the beauty that she saw in the world, WCT Waterloo Region has created an opportunity to support the Arts Grants Fund in Jackie's memory. This fund helps support artistic startup ventures as well as individual artists. If you would like to learn more about the Arts Grant Fund, please contact the WRCF at 519-725-1806 or info@wrcf.ca. And please, you can screen cap and donate today. Please join us next week on March 28th at 6 p.m., where we will be speaking to our panelists representing charitable organizations and the great work they do in our community. Find out what it's like to work in this fulfilling environment. And now I'm happy to introduce your moderator, Marissa Watkin. Marissa Watkin is a professional in Waterloo Region, working as a consultant with IG Wealth Management. After graduating from Conestoga College with her Bachelor of Public Relations degree and seeing firsthand the impact that financial planning has on so many people, Marissa worked hard to earn her mutual fund certification and life insurance license so that she could help young professionals like herself invest in their futures. I'm proud to say that Marissa is a member of Kitchener Rotary, and I personally have the pleasure of working with her in our community as she promotes Rotary People of Action in KW. Marissa, over to you.
Thank you so much, Louise, for the great introduction and the kind words regarding the work that I do with Kitchener Rotary. It definitely has been a really fun journey for myself, and I'm excited to be a part of this event as well, now knowing of it from Kitchener Rotary. I'm going to start off today with a couple of introductions of all of our panelists. So we're going to start out. Panelist number 1 is Robyn Hobbs. Robyn started Prix, her sustainable fashion business, in 2013 when she was entering her last year at undergrad at Laurier. She studied environmental studies and business and continued to pursue a master's in environmental studies while running Prix. Prix has diverted over 2.9 tons of waste from landfills and has given back to the community through education, intern mentorships, and various partnerships. We're excited to have you here today, Robyn. Next up, I'll introduce panelist number 2, who is Mira Polski. Mira surprised everyone when she announced so definitely that she was going to be a carpenter at just 5 years old. Fast forward 16 years, and Mira is now a level 2 carpenter's apprentice working for a local contracting company, and she's well on her way to fulfilling that 5-year-old dream. In high school, Mira took many woodworking and drafting courses, including a dual credit program where she earned additional college credits. Next up, I'm going to introduce Lina Shamoun. When Lina's hairstyling apprenticeship started, it sparked her love for hair, and she founded Artline Salon in 2007. With Lina's vision and her team's dedication, every stylist is developed through co-op and the apprenticeship program, resulting in her training over 20 co-op students and 9 apprentices. With a strong desire to give back to the community, Lina speaks at local high schools on entrepreneurship, judges Skills Canada Ontario competitions, and trains high school teachers to help students to be successful in competitions as well. Next up, we have Laura Lee Marshall. Laura Lee Marshall always wanted to work in a skilled trade, but wasn't taken seriously as a woman. But she had her second chance when she started working at Toyota to become an industrial electrician. She completed a 9,000-hour apprenticeship and is now a certified industrial electrician, also known as a 442A. Is that correct, Laura Lee? Laura Lee enjoys being an industrial electrician because the day-to-day tasks change, continuous learning, and being involved in projects coming to life throughout the course of the beginning to the end. And finally, we have Dr. Tahira Bilal. Dr. Bilal came to Canada 8 years ago. Previously a family doctor with experience in surgery and medicine, Dr. Bilal was unsure of what to do here. Initially, she started with the Canadian Red Cross as an instructor, and then decided to set up Canadian Health and Safety Education, which is her own first aid and CPR training company. Dr. Bilal is passionate about affordable housing and hopes to continue giving back to the community. So thank you all for being here today. And we are going to jump into our kind of panelist question and answer section. So I'm going to go through what we've got here. And if you happen to want to jump in, feel free to do so. But I am going to start off with Robyn. So as a business owner, what does a typical day look like for you?
That's a good question. And if anyone does have questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A and we can answer them as we go. Every day is different. For example, today I had my staff come in for part of the day because I had to come off and come for this event. But I usually start off by having more self-care time in the morning. So I start off on a more kind of grounded, balanced day. And then I do a photo shoot every day for our website to update products daily. And then getting to the store, we release product. I have styling sessions, one-on-one time with clients, just generally helping people, shipping out packages, because my company, Prix, we ship worldwide. So it could just be a local delivery. It could be going to Australia. And then, of course, taking a break throughout the day. I never used to be good at taking a break in the day. And then when I brought on staff, they get breaks. And I realized, you know what? I deserve that self-care and that time for me too. And then now that I've been in business for 10 years, I try really hard at the end of the workday to just either turn my phone off or on silent and then just unplug to have time for me. But again, sometimes I have events like this or other networking events or other pop-ups or styling sessions that I get to do.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Robyn. And I know that one of your passions is self-care and kind of that balance between taking care of yourself and running a business as well. So I'm really glad to hear that that's how you start off your day. Always a nice way to get going. This one I'm going to kind of go into your bio, and I'm going to also ask Tahira, Bilal to answer as well. What does your business do to give back to the community? Because I know you mentioned a couple of those things in your introduction as well.
Thank you so much, Marissa. First of all, I'd like to thank you for such a wonderful introduction and giving me this opportunity. As all of you know that we are into first aid training company. We are providing this kind of training. So, and you can imagine how important it is in case of emergencies. So we seek to empower the community not only by providing training to those who have registered with our programs, but also to the community for the knowledge and benefit how we do free information sessions for people in different events and in different meetings. And we also support different community initiatives and programs through donations and sponsorship.
Awesome. Thank you so much for giving us kind of an insight on that. I look forward to hearing more about your business as we move through this session here. As we've just heard from kind of two different business owners, I wanted to move things over to Lina, who's also a business owner herself. What have you had to learn as a business owner that you may not have wanted to throughout this process?
I'm on mute as per usual. Sorry, can you ask that question again? I was too busy looking for my mute button.
Of course. What have you had to learn as a business owner that you may not have wanted to?
Well, when we all get a job and if it doesn't work out for you and your employee is not happy with you or your employer, then you have to be told that you are not going to work there anymore. So basically firing people. I mean, I knew that happens, but you never really want to do it as a business owner. So it's not that I didn't know it, but I had never said to someone, I don't think this is going to work out for you, or I don't think you're the right fit for the company, or sometimes we're not the right fit for you as an employee. So I would say that's the one thing that I had to learn about, and luckily I haven't had to say it too many times, but I've done it a couple of times. So it's not always fun to let someone go or see someone leave because they're not the right fit. But I would say that's probably the one thing that sticks out, for me, that either I didn't want to do it or I didn't really know how to do it, and then I had to learn to do it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think we've all experienced either ourselves or someone we know being fired, but it's completely different on the other end, right? Yes, awesome. Thanks so much, Lina. I'm going to move on back a little bit to Robyn, because we're kind of on like a business owner run here. So I'll go for a couple more questions and then we'll switch our gears a little bit. And this one kind of has to do with the same kind of feel. So Robyn, what has been your greatest limitation as a woman in business, and how have you overcome that?
That's a good question. So I started my business when I was 22 and I was not taken seriously. I was in my undergrad and then I was doing a master's. And so people would always say to me while I was running my business, I was traveling, I bought a house with my partner, and they would say to me, what are you going to do for a real job when you're done school? And I already had a business and I listened to those. So I interviewed for jobs. I would decline offers because they just weren't a good fit. And I guess just the expectation of, I'm young, this is something fun. A lot of people told me that, fashion and reselling fashion wasn't a viable business. So it really just disbelief in my business vision and product offering and services. And essentially just kept listening to my gut because, as I said, I went on these interviews, and even I would have multiple interviews, and then I would meet, the COO of the company, and they would say, why are you interviewing for these jobs? Because you're already doing this and it's not aligned with the passion that you have. So I just continued to build what I had dreamt for myself. And then it got big enough that it just took over all of my spare time and didn't really leave room for it. And then eventually I created a community that supported it and believed in it.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for that answer. I'm going to move on over to Mira now and ask, kind of on the same but a different tone, what are the advantages of a woman being in not only business, but the trades especially? You're muted, Mira.
All right. I just got asked that a couple of weeks ago, all because of the International Women's Day. And I thought it was such an interesting question because usually we hear all like the negative things of being a woman in the trade, how hard it is, similar to Robyn, how people just don't really believe in you initially. So, and I was talking to all my other tradeswomen out there in the field, and we just came up with the answer that for us, we really had to choose this career. Like we had to have passion and determination that despite what everybody else is going to say, this was it. So I think that passion, that determination, that we treat this like a career. And so we take opportunities seriously. We seek out involvement. I think that really makes you stand apart versus other coworkers who might just get into the field because they didn't know what other job to do. For us, it's a career and it's one that we chose and one that we love every day.
Awesome. And Laura Lee, you're nodding along. I see Robyn, like pretty much everyone here is nodding along with that sentiment. And I can definitely see where that's coming from. What do you guys think? And this is kind of for anybody who feels they can kind of put in a little word here, but what advice would you give yourself or a young woman that is starting in the trades? There's that passion and that drive, but there's also a little bit of that conflict that you see coming into a male dominated industry. So I don't know if anyone would feel comfortable. Yeah, thanks.
The only thing I feel is most important is to be always optimistic. Just stay positive and come up with a plan and stick to it. So I'm not saying that you will not face any problem, any hurdles. There will be so many lashbacks and lots of hiccups on your way. But if you come up with a plan and stick to it, just stay focused and always and perseverance is the most important thing. So when you get a backlash, just don't sit back, stand up again with a new encouragement and hope. And then finally, you will succeed in your career.
Thank you so much. I think that also goes along with something that we had chatted about when we all met, and it comes with perseverance. And it goes along with, I know Lina and Tahira had their own experience as immigrant women in their industries, as well as growing up and learning in Canada as immigrant women. Can you say how that has kind of impacted your experience along the way?
I'd love to add to the first question, and then I can add to the second one. One of my advice for some of the audience here, there maybe some of you haven't yet had to look for a job or look for a career yet because of your age at the moment. But one thing I would love for you to do is find someone in the industry that you're interested in. I'm sure your parents or someone in your family member knows somebody who is either a carpenter or hairdresser. anyone who's in a trade, and then go talk to them, maybe get a little bit of advice. And then one of the other challenges you might face is, let's say sometimes your parents may want you to do something else or go to university or do other type of education, but you're not really interested in that. You want to be in the trades. Always be ready to answer any questions. So, talking to one of us in the trades will always give you a lot of knowledge, and then you can share that with your family members if someone doesn't want you to do it. So educate the people in your life, I would say, but first you have to get educated. So talk to one of us. There's always someone that that knows somebody, in the trade that you want. So that's one advice that I have, is just talk to people, essentially. And then as far as the second thing, being an immigrant Canadian, when I first came to Canada, I was 14 years of age and I didn't really speak any English. So it took me about 4 years to start understanding the language. So I went from grade 9 to grade 12, learning the language. But one thing I was really good at is asking a lot of questions. And I knew the more questions I asked, the more I learned. So if I was a bit shy and timid and didn't like asking questions, I probably would be I would have missed out on a lot of things in life and a lot of opportunities. But thankfully, my personality being that I was just like always asking questions, because I had no idea what was happening unless I asked the question. So thankfully I was like that. So I encourage you to just ask questions. Ask your teacher, ask your parents, ask your friends. Maybe sometimes ask Google, but ask a real person before you ask Google.
Before I move on to Tahira, I just wanted to say that I think that's such a valid point about asking people for help. I think we have this kind of idea that if we're asking for help, we can't do it on our own. And that's not the case. We have a village around us, and there's a reason that we use those resources, right? So I just thought that was really nice. But I will direct the same question at you, Dr. Bilal.
So, Marissa, while we give advice to our youth that, okay, just keep working, be motivated, and just stay focused, but at the same time, live and laugh, okay? So it's not just about being so serious all the time. Enjoy your life, okay? And then at the same time, focus on your work as well. Now, when you ask about being an immigrant, so initially I had to face a lot of problems. Like back home working as a doctor, and here I can tell you it was really hard for me. I did not find any job, and it was such a long list of tests that you have to take. Even my class fellows who came from back home, who had cleared all the exams, everything, they could not find a job here. So they just intimated me, just don't go for those tests. But when I decided to start my business, honestly, I did not feel that I was at disadvantage from being immigrant. There were so many resources out there. I would especially like to mention a Waterloo Region Small Business. If you are planning to start your own business, do consult them. They are so helpful. They will help you in your website in giving grants, and they will give you, there are different groups they will connect you with. And at the same time, I would also like to mention about Leadership Waterloo. They were so helpful for me. And then we have CMW, Coalition of Muslim Women, which I joined. And they also, being an immigrant and starting my business, I did not feel like I was left out from the larger community. So I have a good experience in that sense.
Good. That's what we would love to hear, right? Is that we have the resources available in our community to support people, whether they are immigrants or they're here. We just need to make sure we are providing that. And I think that goes with the embrace equity to an even farther extent, rather than just gender equality as well.
And I agree with Lina also that youth should come up with questions, and then they should find somebody to talk to who can connect them to the right resources. That's most important.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So I'm going to move on to, let me see here. Oh, this was an interesting one when we kind of brought it up and we're chatting about it. And it was kind of different for all of us. So feel free to pop in if you'd like to answer this one. But how do you measure your personal success? I think we all see something different, and I'd love to hear some different definitions of that.
I'll start. So for me, being in the trades, being in carpentry, my brain is just all about tangible things. Like I need to be able to feel it, to see it, move it. So it's that everyday personal success. Like when I come in and I do my walkthrough with my supervisor and we're looking at our plans and we're starting to set our goals for the day. And that, you know, we want to get this floor system up. So, okay, that whole day, when I take my breaks, how I get the other coworkers to work with me, that's all in the back of my head on how are we going to get that goal by the end of the day. And so then when we reach it, that's a good day to me. And it's as simple as that. And once you have as many good days, then you have a good week and you have a good month. So it's those small personal successes. And even then, if you take it to a larger scale, what goals have I set for myself career-wise? Once I meet those, that's a huge milestone. So I don't think these always need to be such big, huge, giant things that we're basing our success on. It can be very small or it could be very big.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mira.
I can add to that. Sometimes we have bookings in our schedule as a hairstylist where you know you're going to be bleaching someone's hair out and making them green or purple. And I look at the day and I'm like, okay, what if this color doesn't turn out exactly the way that I want it to today? And then, you know, just exactly like, sorry, just here one sec. Just like Mira said, you work with your team members to say, okay, so I only have half an hour for the bleach out, then it needs to be washed, and then it needs to be dried, and then it needs to be toned. So basically the service that's booked for only an hour and a half is actually going to take us 3.5 hours to do. So personal success for me is when someone's hair is exactly the way that we want it to be within that sort of book time range. I know that, you know, sometimes, you know, some of you may go on YouTube and learn how to bleach your hair and tone it with Manic Panic. It's not always that easy, you know, when you're in a salon. So success is always making sure that everybody's hair turns out within that book time slot in the schedule. Otherwise, you make the next client wait. So the least amount of waiting is a success. The color turning out exactly the way we want is a success. And then going home on time, you know, when you're done and not having to stay late is also a success. So that's basically what some of it is for us in a hair salon.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Lina.
Can I chime in? Do we have time or should we keep going?
Go ahead, Robyn. You're good.
Okay. I would say there's a professional success and personal success because I am my own business owner. And so in the professional world, the whole goal of my business is to foster self-love and sustainability. So when someone comes in and they end up leaving after they've done like a happy dance or like a happy hum, when they find something sustainable that they feel so good in, because feeling good is part of our self-love, taking care of ourselves, giving us confidence to go after the things we want to do. And then also having people tell other clients or other people and get referrals just based on such a positive experience or such high quality product. For example, someone sent me a video today of a product or 2 products that they bought over a year ago that they're still loving. One's a home decor piece and one's a sweater. But again, in the sustainability world, like having things for longer than a year that's not fast fashion is a total win for me. And then if you think about personal success for me is I worked a lot to get to where I am and made a lot of sacrifices with my personal time, but now it's being able to have time to have hobbies, things that are my personal passions, to go on vacation, to see the people I love and do fun things. And I see a question popped up. I don't know if it's for Mira.
Perfect. Let me just read that here. Do we want to answer that at the end during the Q&A period? Only because I don't think it's necessarily specific to the last question. What do you feel, Mira? I'm putting this one on you. Do you want to answer it now?
I haven't even read the question.
I will read it to you. It says, "Hi, Mira. I was wondering if you could speak to your experiences of finding mentors and colleagues networking in a field that is male dominated. Thank you."
Let's answer it at the end. I need to think.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I will change up the gears a little bit. And I'm going to ask Laura Lee this because I want to know kind of your opinion. It's kind of similar to the question that was just asked because you are in a male-dominated industry as well. But what has been the most memorable moment in your career?
The most memorable moment for me was when I received my C of Q exam results and that I had passed, and I was a certified electrician. I was really proud of myself and realized that I was just as capable as a man to do this job that I had been told in high school that it wasn't suited for me as a woman to do. So that was one of my best moments.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And congratulations on that. It's an awesome feat, right? And I think while I got you here, do you mind speaking a bit to how you got to this spot in your career and what your education kind of looked like as well? I know that you still have day-to-day learning, but what did it kind of look like before you started your job here?
So in grade 12, I decided I was going to go through to be a mechanic and was told that wasn't suitable for a woman to be in the trades. I ended up going to college for business management and finished a program in that. Realized I didn't have the passion for it, the same as I did for a hands-on position. So I ended up doing a few things in between and ended up working at Toyota, and they offered an apprenticeship program there. And as soon as I heard that, I knew that that's what I needed to do. I was really excited. I was really excited to apply for it. Did the aptitude test and passed, had an interview, and was offered an industrial electrician position. So from there, I went on to finish my 9,000 hour apprenticeship. So 8,140 hours of that was on the job training. And then the 860 hours was at school. So 3 different rounds of schooling.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, let me see what we have here. So we're leaving that Q&A till the end, just so that you are aware. I am going to move on to Tahira. If you could give one piece of advice, I know you already kind of gave a little bit, but someone looking to pave their way into the business world, is there something specific other than kind of what you had said before, or do you think that gives a good gist of coming up as a woman in business?
Well, I think you should keep the way open and just think about different options. So if you have one thing coming into your mind, just like, and if you like failed in that and you think that is not the right choice for you, still I say it is never too late. So think about it, get advice from other people, and there's always a chance to look forward and find a new way for you. So don't get disheartened and find new ways in your life. But just keep moving. Just don't be discouraged and don't be like depressed. There's always a way for you. Keep moving.
Perfect.
I just have a quick resource. So if you are thinking about doing a business, just like Dr. Bilal had said with the Waterloo Region Small Business Center, they actually have something called Summer Company. So it's meant for students to do in the summer, and it will be essentially there's workshops and seminars, and then you get funding to build your business just for the summer. So it's a really great way to maybe test out an idea, see if you like it, and just have it be short term if you don't want to commit to something long term.
Awesome. Thanks, Robyn. Beautiful. Okay. I also wanted to speak to your point there, Tahira, about, kind of just going forward no matter what. Personally, myself, I went to school for marketing and public relations, and now I'm a financial consultant. I didn't really know what my route was going or where I was going to be. But if you had asked me 10 years ago if I'd be a financial consultant, I can tell you the answer would have been no. But times change, opportunities pop up, and it's just good to always kind of live in the moment and go with the flow and keep positive. So I would agree with that as well. Moving forward, we've got a few minutes left for this portion of our webinar here. I'm going to focus on kind of the theme of our event today and International Women's Day 2023 and ask, how do you and your employers or your employees embrace equity within the workplace?
I have a comment for that. So there's two ways actually. They're kind of unique, and so recently we're noticing that we are wanting to shift the language of the company in the way that we name services. So instead of having women's cuts, men's cuts, kids cuts, we are just referring to our services as haircuts. So I find that that's become a bit more of an inclusive language, because it doesn't really matter who anyone is, and it's a haircut is a haircut, and it suits your needs as a person. So that's one really cool thing that, you know, kind of we want to just make our language a bit more gender neutral, and not feel like we have to, you know, pigeonhole our clientele. And the other thing is, this is also unique to Artline. Usually when you go to a salon and you get your haircut, when you tip, you only tip your hairdresser. But if you actually pay attention to who made your appointment, it wasn't your hairdresser, it was the salon receptionist. Who washed your hair? If it's not your hairdresser, then it's the apprentice of that salon or the assistant. And then if you also ask, well, who cleaned the salon? Well, maybe the owner helped clean that day or swept, or maybe it was the other stylist that ended up mopping. So your experience is no longer just one person. Now it's the whole team contributed to your experience. So when you leave a tip at the salon, we actually do a tip out. So a percentage goes to the receptionist and a percentage goes to all of the assistants, which is a really big, I think it's a big thing. Like, it really is very important to acknowledge everybody that made your experience possible, because usually traditionally you just pay your hairdresser your tip. But at Artline, we don't do that. We actually take a percentage and everyone agrees to it. And then we do the tip out, because normally restaurants do that. So why not us? You don't see that common. Like, unfortunately, it's not yet a common thing in hair salons, but I hope that anyone listening to this can share it with their stylist. And maybe that can become a bit more of a common knowledge. So, or common practice, I would say. So those are just a couple of things that I wanted to share with you on that.
That's awesome, Lina. Thanks so much for sharing that.
Thanks.
Okay, perfect. I see we're running low on time here, so at least for this portion. So what I'm going to say is I've got one question left for all of our panelists. So if you could all think of one answer to this question, keep it short and sweet. And if you are in the Q&A, feel free to type some in there while we're going over this last question, and then we can go over the Q&A afterwards, okay? So my last question for everyone is, what is the best part of your job? And I'm just going to go counterclockwise on my screen. Okay, so I'm going to start with Robyn, if you want to start us off, and then we will continue around my screen here.
I would say the enthusiasm of community building at our business and the local level at our store. We've been in business for 10 years, and people come in and they know who we are from social media or someone that they've talked to or they've driven by, and they're enthusiastic. And then over the years, they've started to learn more about the environmental impact of fashion and making more mindful choices, but still having the connection and sharing of the stories about what they're getting the clothing for.
Awesome, thank you. And I'm going to move on to Mira next.
It's being outside and it's being on my feet all day and building. That's what I like to do.
Awesome. Love it. Lina, you're next up.
I have to say it just happened right now. My apprentice just sent me before and afters of the client and how happy she is. This is the before. Oh, sorry, there it is. Can you see? That's the before.
Yep.
And that's the after. She was able to change her color. So as a mentor, those text messages are literally part of the, like, they're the best part of my job. And they just happened because I was like, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? And then she just texted me. So there you go.
Perfect. The timing was just impeccable. Awesome. Laura Lee, what is the best part of your job?
The best part of my job is that every day is different. I'm not stuck at a computer every day. I'm not stuck on the line every day. I'm not stuck on the floor wiring a panel. I get to do something different, and sometimes it's a surprise, sometimes it's a project, but it's always different. So it makes the day go by fast.
Awesome. Yeah, I like that about my job too. There's constantly new things popping up, and it just keeps going, and all of a sudden the day's done. Beautiful. All right, Tahira, you are our final panelist for this question here.
Okay, thank you, Marissa. So I feel that I always had the passion to help people who are suffering and who are in need, like being a doctor. And I found here, like, the best thing about my job and my profession now is that there is always a gap between when the people, they get sick and when EMS arrives. For example, if somebody goes into cardiac arrest or somebody has complete choking, so you do not have that time to wait for EMS. And I feel so much satisfied when I give this training to my attendees and we make all those information sessions that we are helping bridge that gap. So that's the most important and good thing about my job. I like it. I love it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I think I see a common theme that it's making yourself happy and making other people happy, just depending on the different industry you're in. And we love to hear that, right? That's what life is about, especially finding that balance with the business you're in. So I'm really grateful that I've had all of you here. Does anybody have any comments before we move into our Q&A portion here, or anything else that they thought they maybe wanted to add but didn't get to during the session? All right.
I do.
Go ahead.
Sure. Okay. One really quick one here for all the students that are on this Zoom program with us. If you want any of us to come and talk to you, just talk to your teacher, and your teacher will get a hold of us to come talk to you a little bit more. So BEP is the Business and Education Partnership Program, and that's how you got invited to this. So please let your teacher know that you want somebody to come and talk to your class, because there's more of this to share with you. And I think that that's such an amazing program that that's available to you.
I definitely agree with that. And the other thing is, really try co-op in your high school if you're able to. I didn't know that it was so available when I was in school, but we've had multiple co-ops at the Prix, and some have even worked out really great, and we've ended up hiring them, and others thought they wanted to own a business and realized that they didn't. So just learning what you liked and what you didn't like is just as important.
And that's exactly where I came to get this job here, Robyn, where I am today. I was a high school co-op student. I did not want to be an administrative for finance, and here I am today, right? So it's just trying out different things and seeing what you like and what you don't like. I completely agree with that.
And Marissa, I also have a free offer for the youth who are attending our program today.
Yeah.
That they can invite our company. If I just stop my video for a while, this is the name of our company for the youth to know, and we can provide free information sessions lasting from 1 to 2 hours to different schools if they invite us.
Awesome.
Giving basic information on the first aid training and different aspects of CPR.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to jump back into our Q&A now. I know we still have that one for Mira, so I don't know if you've been thinking through Mira, but I'm going to read it again out loud so everyone's on the same page here. So it says, Mary Beth says, "Hi, Mira. I was wondering if you could speak to your experiences of finding mentors and colleagues networking in a field that is male dominated. Thank you."
For sure. This one took me a while to think. So I was like, do I have a mentor? When I initially started, I was 16. And so it was really hard to find people that would take me on. But I was really lucky, and my brother's also in the skilled trades, and he's quite a bit older than I am. So he always made sure I had all the safety equipment I needed. If I ever ran into any problems while working, we would go out and get whatever the next day. So having that family support for sure was huge. I met my first employer when I was 16 through a summer co-op position, and I actually got hired on the next summer. So I wrote my last high school exam, and then I had a full-time job starting the next day. It was incredible. And I worked with them while I was going to college for a renovation technician carpentry program. My current employer now is a general contractor, and being signed on as an apprentice, I'm working under what we call a journeyman. So that's my mentor. They're teaching me everything that they know, and then I get to learn all the tricks and trades from them. So I think definitely as there was mentioned before, like going out and trying to speak to as many people as you can within whatever skill trade you're interested in. Super cool is now there's such a huge social online platform of women in the skilled trades. So definitely check out Women on Site. You can find them. They have a website and they are also all over Instagram. Yeah, like you can, through them, you can find any possible trade. And there's some woman doing it who's killing it. I personally have my own account. If you're interested in seeing kind of what the day-to-day looks like as a carpenter's apprentice. So it's chill.builds_ and then POLSKI. But definitely, like if you can't find your own mentor, I'd say definitely go to your social media platforms because you'll find tons of examples there.
Mira, better type it in the chat. It will be more easy to.
I just wrote it down personally. It's like, all right, great. I'll follow it later on.
Marissa, do I have 2 minutes to share a story about my kids? Like if I only.
Yeah, of course. Go right
So,
ahead.
Like, okay, so just for our youth, just to let them know that 2 of my kids, so my eldest son, when he was just in grade 5, he was very much sure what he wanted to become. And he would always say, even in grade 4, 5, I want to become computer engineer. He was so sure and he succeeded. He graduated from UW in computer science 3 years ago, found a very good job. Now my daughter, until grade 12, she was not sure. So she got very good percentage in grade 12, like she got 96%, and everyone was telling her to go for double maths. Oh, you got such good marks. And she said, Mama, I don't like math. Why do I choose that? But then she decided to go to environment and business. She said, okay, even if they're accepting with the low percentage, it is not the percentage that matters. It's my passion that matters. But like until grade 12, she wasn't sure. Maybe I can become a lawyer. Maybe I can go to environment. So don't get discouraged. At the end of the day, she graduated last year in environment and business, and both of my kids, they are successful. Good jobs. So, okay, so this is just an example. So there are always so many different ways, and you should not just think, oh, I'm in grade 12 and still I'm thinking I have no pathway, I don't know. So hopefully you will all do very good.
Yeah, no need to stress now. You've got lots of time for it to all come together, and ask those resources around you, right? I think that this whole conversation has come back to that. And I can kind of speak a little bit. I'm in a male-dominated industry in finance, and it's changing now, thankfully, but finding mentors and things, some different ways that I like to do that was getting more involved in the community rather than the business world, especially because whether it's a woman in your industry or, in another industry, there's a lot of advice that I think people want to give. People are willing to give and answer questions. So I would just say that that's something, never feel like you're stuck, always use the people around you. And networking doesn't have to be a networking event. It can be just locally in your community as well, is something I would say for sure. Okay.
There's
Sorry, go
one
ahead, Lina.
question- That's okay. There's a question that just came up.
Yeah.
What's your fondest memory of high school?
Ooh.
I'll start that one there. We did a hospitality class in high school in grade, I don't know if it was 11 or 12, and we made chili. And then when we made any lunch, then we would sell it to the students and the school teachers. And I remember that the entire chili got bought out, and it was our class that made it. And it was like such a good feeling that like our chili was a hit and there was nothing left at the end of the lunch hour. So that's my favorite memory of high school. One of many.
That also just sounds like a lot of fun.
It was awesome. It was a great class.
That's awesome, Lina. Does anybody else have an answer for that? Your fondest memory of high school?
So I was in the specialist high schools major program, which is really cool. If you're in high school, definitely look it up because it allows you to start taking training and get certificates towards whatever area you're interested in. So I was so lucky that when I turned 16 and I started working for the framing company that I was, they had a Zoom boom on site, like kind of like a forklift, but more industrial for on site. And so I was old enough that I could get my license to drive it. So I remember like I just got my G1 and then I was also like driving a Zoom Boom, learning how to drive that at the same time. And like hauling up like material and skids to the boys. It was the best thing ever. So exciting.
That's awesome. That also sounds great. I had another question pop up in the chat here. It is, what high school class did you think, or class in general, it could be college if you feel, did you think was a waste of time that you realized now was valuable? Which is a great question. I think personally, I would have to say English, because it helps me in all different aspects. And it seems like such a silly course to do grammar and spelling and things like that, but it comes across really professional in different industries, especially the one that I'm in, just sending emails and things like that, writing different marketing pieces, that type of thing. I thought it was silly when I did it, lots of reading and writing, but I appreciate it now.
Marissa, I can talk about, like, it's not about a class, but I know I was very shy in my high school, like not talking to anyone. So my dad, he went to my school and he just talked to our principal and the teachers, like, I want my daughter to be in the debating society. So this is how they pushed me, like a shy girl, just up in the up in the light. And my dad would always help me at home to practice for my debates. And finally, I became the president of that debating society. And later on, I represented my school, and I remember I won like first prize, the trophy at the provincial level. I won that. But this was just like a complete change of the shy girl with all that encouragement from my father.
And here you are today presenting in front of people, right, about your life as a businesswoman. That's awesome. Does anybody else also have something related to this question here?
Chemistry was so hard for me. And now my entire day is all 10 volume, 5N is the hair color. So like, for example, Laura Lee, you are 20 volume and 4N. Do you know what that means? That's your hair color. That's chemistry. And what is it, Mira? You have a little bit of your like overall 9N, probably processed with 5 volume and a pinch of, 8.2. Like literally all our colors are numbers, and all our numbers are based in chemistry because you're formulating with hydrogen peroxide. I had no idea that the world of chemistry would be that of my life every day. So pay attention, kids. You never know when you're going to need that geometry class, or what is it? Fractions and stuff like that. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, for sure. And that was awesome. Skills shown right here on the call that come in handy to you every single day, right, Lina? So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else before we kind of hop back into our closing kind of remarks here? Does anyone have anything they'd like to add?
Oh, I thought this was kind of fun, especially going off of what Lina was just talking about.
Yep.
Because I did not know this in high school. It's what we use, like the 3-4-5 rule is what we call it on the job site. And that's how we score all of our walls. Like we use it every day, which is kind of fun. I wish more teachers knew that so they could tell their kids, because I definitely would have paid more attention.
That's great. And we need like a public service announcement about that. You know what I mean? Like just pay attention to these little things in these classes and it'll get you where you need to be. Perfect. All right. Well, I'm just going to say a quick thank you to everybody here. We really appreciate you all being here, but I'm not going to take over whatever Louise is going to say. So that's all I'm going to say here. But thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then Louise, I'll pass it on back to you, I believe.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I have to say that when I was in high school, my best subject was math. And I ended up just through a fluke working for a travel agency in an accounting department, as sort of a bookkeeper, only because my husband and I were skiers. We were on the ski patrol and it was our life, and they needed somebody that, the wife of a ski patroller needed some help. And I ended up doing that when I was in my 20s, and my career grew to the point where I was an executive leader for the largest global travel agency in the world, Carlson Vaughan Lee Travel, and I led North American leisure. So you just never know when you take that job in the grocery store or at the hairdresser, or if you do some trade as a summer job, where it will lead. And then we've heard lots of stories from our last panel where they thought they were going in a direction. In fact, our regional chair, Karen Redmond, was in university for psychology, and she ended up being in politics. So you just never know where life is going to take you. But I love what Tahira said was, just love your life and enjoy what you do. So thank you, Marissa and panelists. I mean, it's been a wonderful and enlightening presentation. Thank you so much for inspiring us. I also want to thank again our amazing sponsors that have been, there, and they've made our IWE event possible this year. Look at the wealth and breadth of the people that we have connections with, and it always makes me so proud that I'm part of the WCTWR. And now I'm going to put the last slide up. Thank you for joining us for our IWD Youth event. We are recording this event, and the recording itself will be on our website. So the exact place that you would have registered for tonight at wewd.com/IWD.2023WR. It's up on your screen. And for any follow-up questions, if you think of something or you want to get in touch with one of the panelists, and I know that they volunteered to come and speak to your schools, and of course these recordings that we have can also be used by your teachers during a class if you think it would be worth sharing for the rest of your peers. So please send us any questions or comments or requests at waterloo@wct-fct.com. And this session may also be available for your volunteer hours. So do ask your school. And thank you again, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.